What up, y'all? This is J. Cole, Cold World, and this is Billboard.com.
I can't get enough of what you got. Good guys, you hit the spot. Try to let go, but I just cannot. So don't you stop, I need that. Cold world, baby, ain't nothing sunny. I see him hating, but it ain't nothing to me. I'm from the Ville where they bang for the money and carry like change for a 20.
This album, Cold World, The Sideline Story, to me is just, it's a culmination of a lot of work, lifelong work. Even like, to me, it represents all the songs that actually aren't even on this album. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be mixtape stuff, whether it be stuff I'm saving for the next album. But when I think of this, I'm thinking of all the stuff that I've done and all the things that I've been through just to get to this point. This is a dream come true. And, you know, other than that, I'm just super proud to, you know, have an album out and super blessed. Yeah. Still my mixtapes always kind of have important intros. And, you know, in the warm-up, I had one, and Friday Night Lights, so I have these real personal intros where I'm talking and just setting the scene. I think that's important to set the mood and the tone of an album. On this one, it's just musical. I matched the tone of the first song and put some rhymes over it to kind of like let you know where we're at right now.
Do you flip that fucking dollar to a dream, whether a scholar or a fiend? Watch a
Dollar in the Dream 3, which is the first song, which was, man, just to be able to start the album, the first song on the album, to be the third in a series, to me says a lot, because it's an instant connection with the fans who have been there for a while from the beginning, and they're like, oh man, Dollar in the Dream 3, and they know how important it is just to see that title. It really matches more the first Dollar in the Dream that I did in terms of mood. Like, still dark, but it's way more triumphant and like, you know, like a winner's feel to it. And it's just some great rhymes on that, some great rap. So I think it's a great way to start the album off.
Can't get enough, can't get enough. Can't get enough, can't get enough.
That was dope, man. When I did the Trey song, it was first just started with me getting the beat from Brian Kidd. That night was the Drake show at Radio City Music Hall, the first night when he did 2. So I went there, I came out on stage, and Trey Songz was there. And I instantly was like, oh, what if I put Trey on the, you know, on the song I just did? And I hollered at him about it. He was with it, he was down. So that's how that happened, man. Shout out to Trey Songz for that. Shot the video in Barbados, it was crazy.
She might need, but in the meantime, it's lights, please. Lights, please.
So it goes from that to Lights, Please. And I had a show probably about over 2 years ago. I opened up for Wale in New York. And I told the crowd, I was like, yo, man, even my album drops in 2011 or 2012, something that seems so far away. I was like, this is still going to be on my album. And I always felt like that because it really represents my style. And then you go into this skit about when the day I found out that I was actually going to get signed, like that he wanted to do the deal, and how I got arrested like 5 minutes later. I had so many little bench warrants for the dumbest things you can have in New York, from like hopping turnstiles to like drinking in public, like all the little stupid stuff you can get tickets for or whatever. I just never cleared them up. And my license was bad because I had traffic things or whatever. So the minute I found out that I was getting signed or that Jay wanted to do the deal, I literally got pulled over like right after that. Like, so it went from celebration to like, whoop, whoop.
I wish somebody made guidelines on how to get a
So that skit leads into the Sideline Story, which to me is like one of the best songs on the album. It just sounds classic, like it's such a mood to it. And the raps, each verse to me is different stories, but they're all like potent things that I'm talking about. So yeah, that's one of my favorites, Sideline Story. The next song is Mr. Nice Watch. I did this in the last minute, like the last, week of recording. That's how I work. Like when I'll be working on a project, like a mixtape or something, and then as we get to the end, I'll look at what I have and what's missing. Everybody tells me like, no, you good. Until I do the new song and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, we needed that. Like,
cold world, cold life, cold blooded. I be on my shit.
Next song is Cold World. And it's just like that. It flows perfectly to the first lines. I think it's gonna be a hell of a night. And then you get this, after that, you get this super high energy track or whatever that you have no choice but to do this.
Can I hit it in the morning? And can I hit it in the
I think it's gonna be a hell of a night with Cold World to hell of a night to In the Morning, which transitions to like this super J. Cole female record, but done in my way. And then that goes right from that to Lost Ones. Is Lost Ones after that? Yeah, from that to Lost Ones, which is kind of like the repercussions of that crazy night, that In the Morning sex, and then like now you have like Lost Ones or whatever. You know, obviously a song dealing with like young pregnancy, you know, when you're around that age of like either late teens or early 20s or whatever age you are, it just explores all of that from both sides. From the male perspective on the first verse, and then I dive into the female perspective on the second, and then on the third verse I'm kind of like third person telling the story from both sides, like he thought this, she thought that. That's one of my favorites, and I've been holding on to that song for like 4 years, just waiting for this album to come out.
Nobody's perfect, nobody's perfect,
That was the other song that I did that in that final week was the Missy Elliott. I felt like the album needed something that you could just ride to, so I ended up doing the beat and writing the raps. And I'm like, man, this really does sound like an old Aaliyah song or something. So I was like, Missy. I've been wanting to work with Missy, but we were like literally gonna master in like 3 days. So I was like, yo, can I make this happen? Put out the calls, then got in touch with her. She knocked it out like super quick for me. And I even like asked her to change something, try something new, and she went right back to the studio and knocked it out. So
Never Told. Hey, you wanna be a man?
Yeah, I wanna be a man.
Never Told was, in terms of memories of how songs were made, that's probably that's the best one. It was just when my first sessions for the album was with No ID in LA. So it was like my first time really out in LA working like that. Every studio session with No ID is always great conversation followed by work. And that's what was happening. Never Told was the last song that we did on that first time that I was there. And it was a culmination of all these conversations we were having about life and relationships. And so when we did Never Told, all of that came out in that song. And I, while they were making the beat, I was right there writing to the beat. That's how we were working. So I just have a great memory of that song. And that's how that came about.
Took my time, kick the crack from behind, and I opened up your blinds, rise and shine.
To go to Rise and Shine is just like a final change of pace. But the ill part about Rise and Shine, other than that third verse, which is just a standout, is the beginning. It's a Jay-Z sample. It's the movie Backstage where he was like, is somebody right now eating a bowl of Apple Jacks? He was, he's speaking while he was out there on tour, becoming the hottest rapper in the game. He was saying there was somebody right now that was just working on their raps, eating Apple Jacks and coming for his spot. And he was like, I'm gonna find him though, I'm gonna sign him, I don't want no problems. Shout out to Elite who brought that sample to my attention. But it was just crazy that he even said that one day and they captured that on footage and then they used that in that movie. And it worked so perfectly on this album and for this story. So I started with that and then come on with these, 3 verses of just going off, rapping. The beat is hard. I'm proud of that. I'm super proud of that beat right there. And that third verse. So yeah, that's Rise and Shine for you. Yep, God's Given next. This was the original song that I wanted Jay on. I originally did this song in my crib. I was thinking I was just gonna throw something out to my fans. Like, it's been a while since I dropped something. It was gonna be like a Villmatic moment when I did Villmatic and just put it out. Like when I'm in the zone, then I really do what I say. And that was one of the days where I really did what I said. I made the beat, ridiculous beat. And then did the raps. But as soon as I did it and took it to the studio and laid it, I was like, nah, I can't put this out. Like, I gotta wait for the album.
I break down. Can't help but break down.
That Breakdown is a song that I made a long time ago too. After Lost Ones, but still around like the 2008 time frame or whatever. But yeah, I started with these drums and I was like, man, what if I do these really like upbeat drums and damn near like a party. The drums are like boom, that could almost be a party. I was like, what if I put this real emotional sample on it? And that's what I did. I chopped up the sample, when I went to clear the sample, the people that I sampled from, they didn't even know. They were like, "What part did you use?" But I just put this emotional sounding, like spaced out sample, and then added a bass line, and then all these words, it just came out. It's actually like probably the most personal song on the album.